One of the biggest misconceptions in training is the idea that strength alone protects the body. If you're strong, you're safe. If you're lifting heavy, you're building resilience. But the reality is a little more complicated than that. See, you can be incredibly strong and still be quietly moving toward injury. Because strength without mobility is borrowed time. Strength is the ability to produce force. That's it. It's the nervous system recruiting muscle fibers to create tension and move weight. And strength training is incredibly valuable. It builds bone density, improves metabolic health, supports longevity, and helps people stay capable as they age, okay? But strength has a hidden assumption built into it that the joints and tissues involved in that movement can actually move well. Big assumption, right? And that assumption, isn't always true. Because a body can be strong and still be restricted. Guys my age, early 50s, some of my mates are way stronger than me, nowhere near as agile, Most injuries don't happen because someone suddenly became weak. They happen because a joint that doesn't move well is placed under load. Maybe the hips are restricted. Maybe the thoracic spine is stiff. Maybe the shoulders have lost range. So, of course, the body compensates. Another joint takes the load. Another tissue absorbs the force. And obviously, for a while, all of that kind of stuff works, right? The body is incredibly good at adapting. All the years I've been in this industry now, it's just amazing to see how it compensates. But over time, compensation becomes stress. Stress becomes overload. And eventually, of course, something breaks. I often think about it like financial debt. When you load a restricted body, you're borrowing capacity from somewhere else. You might get away with it for months, sometimes years, but eventually the system has to pay that debt back. And it usually comes back in the form of tendon irritation, joint pain, muscle strains, chronic tightness, reoccurring injuries, right? Not because the body is weak, but because the load had nowhere healthy to go. Real strength is not just about force. It's about control through range. A resilient body can produce force, it can absorb force and move freely between those states. But that requires mobility. It requires joints that articulate well, tissue that can glide, and a nervous system that can regulate tension and relaxation. See, when strength and mobility work together, the body becomes incredibly durable. The goal of training shouldn't just be bigger numbers. It should be longevity. Being able to move well, train well, and stay capable for decades. That means respecting both sides of the equation, strength and mobility, force and range. Because if you build strength on top of restriction, you're building power on unstable foundations. So let me leave this thought with you, right? Strength is powerful, but mobility is what allows strength to be expressed safely. Without it, every heavy lift is borrowing from the future, and eventually the body always collects the debt. The equilibrium method. Be well, be safe.